You're all set.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Good morning, North Carolina, and specifically the Jacksonville area. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule today. My name is Nikki Morgan. Some people know me as Nicole, and some of you have actually known me for quite some time because I come from originally the North Carolina Association of Realtors. So depending on how long you've been around, you may or may not have met me while doing other types of classes, whether that is your GRI or your CRS, the Certified Residential Specialist Specialty designation years and years ago. Either way, I'm here today to make sure that I can take you through CRS data. So we are your new tax provider. We're going to be just about an hour or so. I know that at some point when you hit that hour, you're just at that full, ready to spill over point. So we may even do some follow-ups. So this morning is going to be all about going into Flex and getting access to CRS data and then taking you through the simple all the way to cutting the edge of more advanced skills. And we're going to do that together. So as we get started, one of the other things that's going to happen today is I'm going to draw 3 names out of a hat and send 3 of you lucky winners a Starbucks gift card for $25. So look forward to that. And you can look in your email box for that later this afternoon as well. So you should see my screen. I'm going to be training live this morning and I am at Flex MLS. So just to get started and become familiar, and I'm sure that you have taken a spin through this at least a little, starting at Flex, you have the ability to go into the menu button. As I'm tapping on that, notice that I'm just logged in just the same way you would be. If you tap on the menu bar, as you know from using Flex for several years, you can drag and drop and click the star icon to set up certain things within your favorites so you have easy access to them across your menu ribbon inside of Flex. So don't forget, that is the same with taxes as well. As we go in and tap on menu, and then even scroll down to the bottom of the page. I love the way that that just goes away as quick as I can scroll. Scrolling down to taxes, we have the ability to take you directly to advanced search, map search, profiles and settings, which you'll learn about this morning and decide how you want to, in effect, customize your log on to CRS data. Prospecting, and then a simple search, just to give you an idea why it's important to have these quick icons or quick links. Because there are times when I know that I go into a store and I enter the store from one end or the other, depending on what my process or what I want to do that day is. The same thing goes here. If you need to go into CRS data and do something very specific, it's nice to be able to pick the menu or pick the section of CRS you want to access to. So keep that in mind. So these quick action icons will give you the ability to get into specific areas of CRS data based on what you're going out there to do. All right, so drag and drop. The stars allow you to go ahead and insert those across the top of the screen, and then you decide the way you want to go in. Now, keep in mind, this morning, I'm going to go in just to the simple search. And then I'm going to take you through some advanced search and map search, as well as prospecting and a bit of profiles and settings. You'll then decide each time you go to Flex where you want to start. Okay, so I'm going to start at kind of the baseline. Let's not forget that under your hot sheet, you'll also have the ability to go into any specific hot sheet and go in, for instance, to all the properties that have been currently put on the market most recently. So the new listings, there's 171 of those. And by hovering over top of these new listings, you'll be able to see that there is an ability to tap to view additional details. And when you do, you're able then to even get further inside of CRS and go in and pull a quick CMA report, even pull the demographics report, or go directly to the property report. Again, knowing that if you're looking at this property, you potentially have a buyer that's interested, that would want you to quickly run a CMA, or pull those demographics or look at or provide them the property report. So this is the way, as you're running out the door to meet that client, that you can satisfy their request very quickly, because we put in these quick links to get you where you need to get right inside of CRS data. Now, I'm going to say this a couple more times. It doesn't matter where you enter our candy store, you're going to have access to everything we have available. Just trying to show you how you can quickly navigate between Flex and CRS without having to weed through several different areas. So these are just tips and tricks based on where you'll find easy access points to CRS. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump over into the simple search, which I also claim to say it is our home screen, because if you do nothing else and go into simple search, you have access to everything else we have available. So tapping on CRS simple search. Opening up that simple search means that I've landed at my default home screen. Why is this by default? It's because at this point, I really don't have my own personal profiles and settings set up. Now, we have customized this for the North Carolina regional, and now you go in and utilize profiles and settings to customize it for you. And I'm going to quickly just remind you or show you what that means. When we tap on profiles and settings, it gives you, the user, the ability to go in and do simple things that mean the most. Go in and brand the property reports, demographics, and facts and figures, so that your name or your headshot or your mission statement or motto prints off on the top of each one of those documents. Who cares that it's CRS data or it's the MLS tax suite powered by CRS data? It's more likely your client's going to care that they have a reference to who that professional is that's working with them to help them buy or sell their next home. All right. So by branding it, you've taken ownership. My logo will move to the right and yours will take that first position. This is not a one and done section. So profiles and settings, although I'm going to show you several things you can do, is fluid. So you can go in, change this, update this based on the client, based on what you're doing during that process. If you want to change your message or your personal note to reflect the message you're passing on to a buyer that's been looking forward to walking through a home traditionally versus having a virtual view of it, potentially having an inability to come to you to see that home because they're in another state. Your note, being very personal, is going to remind them that you are going over and above to make sure that you're customizing their buying experience by being able to put personal notes on these reports as they ask for them, just to kind of give you an idea how some people in the virtual world right now are utilizing these simple things inside of CRS to kind of change things up a bit. All right. Other things from here that you're going to at least need to be aware of. You're going to tap in email address and put your email address so that when you send a document, it copies back to you. Default county search. When I tap on default county search, and when we start doing simple, advanced, and map searches, you'll realize that you've got the state of North Carolina if you didn't realize it already. And that's a lot of counties. I'm here too. It's a lot of ground to cover. And most of you probably have more of a focus area. Nice to have access to the whole state, but it's more likely that you could carve out 4 or so counties that you work most often in. So you have the ability to go in and set up your default county search so that at a minimum, you start where you're most frequently active. And then you can remove and add to that. It just allows you by default to have your search settings or your search counties populate in that box. So if you're looking for a county towards the end of the list versus A of the alphabet, you have the ability to do that. All right. Always changing, always moving around. You'll always have the ability to go back into profiles and settings and modify. Search settings is the other place that I think new users at least need to know about, because after today, you may at least need to go in and decide whether or not you're a simple search kind of person, or whether you're always going to find yourself doing advanced searches, or whether it's all about the map. I need to see the water because I need to communicate where the home is as it relates to the water. And that just seems to be like more what I want to focus on. Because everyone does their searching differently, and because everybody works a bit differently, we give these three options. They'll never go away. It's just a matter of which one comes up as your primary search model. Simple, advanced, or map, being able to toggle through back and forth between the three. But where do you want to start? The other things today that I will remind you of and talk a bit about is I will show you that you can do saving on your criteria. You can even save results. And then from this screen, you can go in and edit or delete those saved criteria or saved results. I'll also point out that results don't have to be the way I serve them up today. Results your way. Part of the reason why CRS has been successful is because we appreciate everybody's need to do things their way, and knowing that we can't please 100 people 100 times, 100% of the time. So we want to be able to give you the option to set this up the way you want it. So my results are just basic. Your results are going to be custom. You're going to choose whether or not you want to tell us what your results look like in your head, and then what your results look like on paper. That'll be the same when doing a CMA, as well as doing a custom CMA. You're going to have control over setting up your own results, whether it be in your results list or your comparables result list or your custom results list. Again, you get to put the seal on what that looks like. Map versus list views, just to become familiar with it, I will show you that your map views, whether they be road or aerial, are your choice. Everything I'm going to show you today will be set up in road because that's the way my by defaults are set up. I'm going to have a list view with a map view as optional. You choose whether you want to do that opposite. Maybe you want your map view with the list view as optional. Okay, those are things that I'm going to point out today, along with the property report customizations, property dimensions and shading. You'll be able to turn those on and off and be able to just tell the system you'd rather not see them unless you ask for them. The property report is broken down in sections. Each section has the ability, again, to hide or minimize that data. And if by default you want that data collapsed and only see it when you ask for it, you're going to come back over to profiles and settings and take a check out of the box. So I'm going to uncheck owner and I'm going to click save. And then when we get to a property report, I'm going to show you what that did so that you can have an idea of what you can do. All right. The last thing on this profiles and settings is home improvement. I'll show you how to take a home improvement and the option to add a cost versus value approach on adding an addition or a new deck or converting a sunroom into a bedroom, and then utilizing the amount spent on that addition or conversion or improvement and getting a percent of value on that. So what does that home improvement value look like, and where do you want to add it? Where do you want to add it? The average cost per square foot, the house price index, or the average sales price divided by the tax appraisal ratio. All things that will make more sense in just a few minutes, knowing that this is all about you seal up how you want your by defaults to start out, and know that you can change them 100 more times today and into the future. Nobody's ever going to tell you you can't. So know that you have the option. All right. The other things we have to note is from the help tab at the top of the screen, you're able to tap on help and get content responsive assistance. So I'm on profiles and settings. From profiles and settings, I know what I can do from this screen because I tapped on help and my system went ahead and showed me some tips and tricks about updating profiles and settings or using profiles and settings. So if you go back and try to do this afternoon and miss something, maybe I forgot to point out something, or you just need some support and encouragement, as well as a reminder, you can tap on help from the profiles and settings page and get the assistance you need. All right. There will also be other articles as well as most recent enhancements always here, as well as the ability to get in touch with us. And I'll roll through that as well. Tapping back and make sure that you understand that we're going to give you a lot of ways to navigate to and from the system. So I'm going to tap on back to previous page. And the previous page was simply that home screen or my simple search page. Now let's jump in. 2 tabs at a property search give me the ability to decide, do I want to search all property records, or would I rather, or is my focus more on the foreclosure properties with some sort of foreclosure activity? Either way, it's my choice. If I search inside of the property tab, I'm getting all properties, including those properties that have had foreclosure activity. So all properties, commercial, residential, properties with foreclosure activity, recent or previous activity, past or present, I'm getting it all, okay? If I know that I'm looking just for foreclosure, I'm gonna tap on the foreclosure tab, and then I am gonna have a different type of search environment open for me, starting off with the same type of activity by selecting your county or counties you want to search in. You can add up to 4 or go to your profiles and settings and set up the 4 you want to start with by default, or just go from this screen. It's really up to you. I can search active foreclosure records. I can scroll through and have the approach that I am going to search by the buckets of data that make most sense. So I'm in foreclosure. Do I have the defendant or case number, file date or auction date, mortgage dates or amounts? Maybe it's just location, street name, city, a parcel ID or PIN range, or even just a subdivision name. When you start to type inside of CRS data, you can tap and begin typing, as we are one step ahead of you in that we're looking in the data to find the records you're looking for. All right, so start to type and let us respond so that we can give you potential matches. Searching by foreclosure data is just like any other environment looking for tax records. Less is more, so don't try to fill this out like you're trying to make an application for a credit card or a job. We want to just look for what makes most sense here, okay? And when you exit out of this section, always clear your criteria. Make sure everything is cleaned up so that the next time you go back in, you're not inadvertently, accidentally searching in the wrong county, or you've got a value in here that doesn't pertain and you're getting 0 results. 9 times out of 10, it's because we've got a field filled in that we haven't reviewed. And with as busy as we all stay, most recently, especially, clearing that criteria is just going to help you start off on the right foot each and every time you go to do a search, okay? But when you're ready to submit to get values or properties, you'll just click the submit button and you'll see how we return these results. Foreclosure is unique, and we do want to point that out. Tapping back over to our property search tab brings us back to that simple search screen where we're going to start looking at property data. Tapping on the county. Tapping on the counties allow us to go ahead and start choosing what counties we want to search in. And then going from there and being able to do a simple search means type name, address, subdivision, parcel ID, or MLS number. You choose, and you don't have to necessarily decide, but as I start typing, my results start to display. I type an owner name starting with the letters ABB, add an O or not to add an O, my results change. I'm looking ahead of you and looking for properties that may have an owner name that starts with ABB and the ability to view more. It's also giving me streets and the ability to view more of those streets, and even the subdivision or view more of the subdivisions. All right. If I tap on an individual owner name, it's going to give me the properties that the individual owner name owns. All right. In the counties displayed. If I decide to select a street, it's going to give me all properties on that street that are in my results. If I'm looking for the subdivision, I could just tap on that subdivision and it's going to give me all properties that are recorded in that subdivision. And then I get a list. I'm going to go back and do that one more time because that went a bit quicker than I expected, only because sometimes it's too quick. Let's tap back and look again. Starting with just that ABB, I can tap on an owner name. I can tap on a street or a subdivision to see or display results. So this time I'm going to choose Abbey Lane. And when I do, it's going to give me all properties that are recorded on Abbey Lane. Let's go back just one more time. Now let's look at the difference, changing up the letters. Now I've got the letters LAKE and it gives me the same environment, owners' names that start with the word lake, street address that starts with the letters LAKE, the subdivision that starts with the letters or the word lake, and the ability to go into any of these buckets of data. All right. These are searches that are starts with the letters LAKE. Now, if you would rather utilize a wildcard, you could insert a percentage sign and then type what you're looking for to now expose yourself to the ability to change from a starts with search to a contains the letters LAKE. So this is the way you change up how you do your searching. If you need a reminder of what I just said, hover over top of the question mark to utilize or have a description of what you do if you want to change your search from starts with to contains and what that will do for your search. Let me go ahead and tap on another subdivision. When I do, it automatically pulls back all the properties that are recorded in that subdivision. Now let's talk about these search results. These search results are going to contain by default the ability to modify down the left-hand panel. You'll also notice that we will pull in the listing statuses from Flex. You'll be able to reference these by shape and color so they're quickly identified. You'll also have the ability to save these results so that you can quickly then go up into prospecting or printing labels or creating a farming list, whatever it is that you want to do here. If you save your results, you'll have the ability to do that. And then from the screen in just a minute, I'll show you how you have the ability right from here. As we're looking at the results, let's keep in mind that in the beginning, I showed you the difference between a map view, and I said you'll also have the ability to see simple results with a list below and a map view option. What you're looking at is my list view with a map view option. So I have the list of properties displayed with a map view optional. And you have the ability to go into profiles and settings and decide for yourself whether you would rather have the map view prominent and always open up a map with your properties displayed 15 at a time and the abilities to hover or stall over each individual property indicator to get additional links and snippets of data on each and every individual property on your results list. Even links to additional foreclosure data, as well as viewing it in the list below, and even having the ability to tap and view the listing information inside of Flex, if in fact it is currently listed, withdrawn, sold, sale pending, expired, for sale, you'll have those links as well. I'm looking at simple results from the simple search we did. Let's not forget, we talked about customizations and each and every one of you having the ability to go in and customize your results. These are results. So let me introduce you to by default results. These are simple results and they're set up by default for you. The custom results can be created and determined by you, and they'll be used by you for your results by going to profiles and settings and tapping on custom results and knowing that you can drag and drop and choose which data you want to display. So to give you an idea of what that looks like, I'm going to tap on custom results, which just again give you a sample of the fact that you'll have the ability to choose which columns are displayed and in which order they're displayed by simply going to your profiles and settings and choosing the columns. And then furthermore, having the ability to drag and drop them in the area you'd like to see them or in the order you'd like to see them. So simple versus custom, custom set up by you from profiles and settings. Scrolling through. Don't forget, you can modify the results on the left-hand panel, even add additional map layers. And in just a few minutes, I'll show you and introduce you to those map layers so you know what you can expect when clicking and viewing a larger map or adding additional map layers. As we look through the properties, it will give us the simple results, which simply are a street address, city, state, zip, parcel ID, owner, lot, and subdivision. Of course, if it's in a subdivision and there is a recorded lot number, you'll get all data. If there are missing sections of data, maybe it's not on a lot or the subdivision hasn't been fully recorded, or if in fact it's not in a subdivision, those would be things that weren't available. So you would not see that field of data, and that would be why. As I scroll down, I know that I can tap on the address if I wanted to see the property report, and we'll look at those in just a minute. I can also tap on the arrow to the right to also give me the ability to see my property report. As I scroll down to the bottom of the screen, I can review data. I can hover over top of icons and know that I can link to the foreclosure record here or the foreclosure information in addition to what I already have available to me. It will give me an additional fields or fields of data. As I toggle through, I can go through the pages. I can decide to view more than the 15 results at a time. By viewing more results, I'll see more on the map and I'll see more in this list. Notice when I come across properties that are in the MLS, I'll know it because I have those icons that display. And I know this red for sale tag or sold tag or for sale sign. I'll know what this is because it's giving me the legend at the top of the screen. Don't get dizzy as I scroll back up. You'll be able to reference your legend. And as I scroll back down, hovering over top of those icons will give you the ability to tap and view the listing information inside of Flex. All right, so this is a link. I can go in and tap to remove the properties I check, or I can check the ones I want to keep. So if I went through here and decided that I just want to see these 4 properties and I say, just keep these 4 properties, it automatically modifies my map, my list, and then I'm off to the races. If these are the 4 properties I have decided I want to create labels for, I have the ability to do that right from this results list. I can even export the list into a CSV file, as well as just print this list. Folks, you get 5,000 of these exports per member per month. Keep that in mind. Also keep in mind, we've got it set up so if in fact you have an oopsie moment today or in the near future while you're using the system and you accidentally export 4,999 of them, I'll work with Heather to make sure that you get those exports back Because if you're using it, learning it, and you accidentally pull down just under your amount for the month, I want you back in there learning how to modify those results to get what you need and not necessarily lose your exports. I want you to not have a time that you can't work in the system to learn it because there was an accidental export. So keep that in mind. At the bottom of the screen, you're always going to see things like data currency, gives you a view of what the data looks like across North Carolina. Feedback tabs where you can give us your feedback on particular enhancements or improvements you'd like to see done. Maybe you have a great and brilliant idea you'd like to share with the team. Contact us. A single tap takes you to and reminds you of the phone number, as well as the email address, gethelp@crsdata.com, so that you can simply send your data correction or concern. And I did say correction because we have a team of analysts and we give you access to our team. That's right, you get end user support here, folks. So all you have to do is pick up that phone or send your email, give us the ability to tell you what to expect so that you know that we're listening and we work through the data together. All right, so it's an easy contact with us. As we scroll back up to the top, let's go ahead and go back to the search. And let's be reminded that searching's not always simple, okay? And we are definitely going to need to go in and have an additional follow-up class to do some more advanced and map searching, but I'm going to introduce that to you today. Tapping on advanced search and map search are more advanced features, but when you do and when you're ready or determine that you'd like to do more than searching by subdivision, parcel ID, MLS, or owner name, and you would rather use an advanced search, you can go out and tap on advanced search and decide what county or counties you'd like to search in. You can also utilize the map and even tap on a larger map if you'd rather use the map to identify what you're looking for instead of my simple search. And then it's all about the map and tapping to insert or dragging and dropping what you're looking for. It's so simple. Drag and drop, and as the properties are displayed and the map comes alive, I know I've got more than 5,000 properties and I really didn't put a whole lot in there other than the last sales price being no more than $780,048. I can go much further and add appraised value or last transfer dates, owner names, even whether or not the properties are or have an absentee owner and if they're out of state. Just to give you an idea of what we're doing here, just giving you one other way to search using a map and using your filters. Just to give you an idea, scrolling down, I can even go in and identify vacant land, the acreage I'm looking for, even going in and saying, I want properties that were built in the year 2000 up to current. And then my map continues to filter the results to display only those properties that fall in between those current year built requirements. It doesn't end there because you can even go in and put the square footage along with bedrooms, bathrooms, and whether or not it has a basement. As you continue to do that, the system will modify the results based on what you're looking for, and your map will continue to fire off improved or refined results based on what you're asking for. And then when you're ready, you view the results just like we did in the simple search, and you'll end up with the same sort of results and the ability to refine those results, view them in custom result fashion. So everything you do building on a simple result will be the same in effect as using a map. So you can expect to see the same result. You're just starting from a different point. All right. Now, as I tap to back to advanced search, I've done a simple search. Now we introduced you to searching using a map. Now let's talk about possibly you want to use an advanced search and you don't necessarily want to see the map. You can utilize location information, including census tract, parcel ID, legal description, school zones, subdivision names, and the same thing goes here. As you tap and type, I'm going to give you some potential matches, and you can add multiple properties or multiple subdivisions here. As I continue to add them, my results will vary and be modified by what I'm placing into my search screen. Now, I'm going to remind you, as I always do, 10 years of doing this, is I'm going to always say that even the best search, when you put too many parameters or too many filters, you're going to get less results. So we want to make sure that, again, you don't fill this out like an application for employment, and you approach this in effect the way you would when you sit down and talk to a buyer about, this is a great wish list, but we've got 52 pages of requirements. If we can scale this back to most important, to the things that we could modify after you bought the house, right? The love it or list it directive, then you're going to approach looking for data in that same environment. Okay. Less is more when searching by location, or adding things like property values, even adding on additional property characteristics, right down to improvement types and property types, land use and total building square footage. Notice these things are similar to what was available to you using a map. It's really all about preference. Knowing that I can use several buckets of data here and click submit only when I'm ready. Adding property characteristics, even that owner profile we talked about before. And then one better step is being able to also modify or refine these results by using the MLS listing statuses. So if in fact I want to look for properties that were built in the year 2000 to 2021 that were a minimum of 2,300 square feet or a maximum of 2,300 square feet, but I also wanted to make sure that they were for sale in the MLS, or whether or not I can find ones that are expired in the MLS or pending. You decide, you're the professional. By adding the MLS listing statuses, I'm also running the search through the statuses, and I'm only going to return the results that also meet the criteria of the MLS status, listing status you've exposed here. All right. Same thing goes when you're ready to get your results. You tap submit anywhere on this screen. And when you leave the custom results or advanced search or map search, always clear your criteria. It just makes for a cleaner transition when you go back into the screen. All right, back to the top of the screen. It's a lot of information, folks. I have to apologize for that. It really is a lot of good data. Now, when we want to go in and look at a property report, you're going to have, if this is your first time in, you may not have any recent properties. You may not have any saved properties. Keep that in mind. You may be clear and nothing is here, and that's because this list is built on based on your own activities. All right, so you've logged in, it's going to present your activities. So I was in a property on Topsail Beach this morning, and when I tap on that saved property report, it pulls up the property report. All right, so it's quick access. So I can search for a property using simple search, advanced search, or map search, and go directly to the results or to the property report. Or I can utilize the recent property searches or the saved searches to go directly into a property of my choice. Or I can go from Flex in a listing directly into the property report from that Flex simple screen or from the property report icon. So you've got a lot of ways to get to your property report and then the corresponding tools that CRS has to offer. So as we look through this property report, let's identify what you're looking at. This is like a book of information for the property we have displayed. I'll be able to email, save to PDF, or print this in its original version, as well as its condensed version. I'll be able to save this report so that I can look at it later. So if you've got an empty saved search side of your simple search screen, by saving this report, you'll now have a property to look at. Viewing the MLS listing information, this button signifies that this property is in or has a coordinating record in the MLS. So I know that I can click on this link and look at the Flex side of things. So if I tap on that MLS listing information, it pulls up the listing profile or information listing record inside of Flex. So I can see any additional details that are going to be helpful to me. Maybe I want to print this because I'm getting these documents ready so that I can go out and meet my prospective client, somebody that's interested in this home, or buyer side, seller side, whatever you're working today, okay? This property report also then displays a lot of great information that we'll look at, but we can from there even look at and view the property report, and we will in just a minute. But we can also decide if it's time to do a CMA or a custom CMA. And I'll show you a standard CMA. And then a custom CMA just takes it one step further. It's like the difference between a simple search and an advanced search. Gives you a lot more tools to work with and a lot more filters or parameters to identify within a property. Exterior walls, specific elevation, particular, getting right down to surfaces of the exterior. So you can really call out some of those unique features that you're going to find in a lot of your areas. Prospecting, if your plan is to go meet this client because you want to put your face and your for sale sign and your lockbox on the front of this house, and then you want to send out a just listed, or maybe you just want to wait a week and send out the postcard to everybody in the neighborhood that says just listed and just sold. 1 week after it went on the market, 1% under asking price, maybe it's 5% over asking price in the current market. Whatever that message is, you can prospect around this property and create those labels and do that mail merge file and export that data, whatever it is you need to do. All right. Facts and figures. This gives you the power to present all data that is pertinent for your client when they need it. So as I'm getting ready for this appointment with this seller, I may want to pull traffic counts. I may want to pull subdivision information or directions as well as demographics. Go in here and review facts and figures and see what items we have here in our toolkit that can take the place of something that you're going out and searching for currently or had previously, to make sure that you know what you have now and become familiar with the way CRS does it, where we present it in a way that's client ready, okay? No need to walk them through several pages of information that they're going to need interpretation on. We do it in a very simple format that's easily approached and discussed and displayed and provided for your client. As we scroll through this property report, let's look at the photos. So keep in mind, if you come to a property record that doesn't have photos, the reason why there would be no photos there, folks, is because it's not in the MLS, or there are not any photos in that listing record. So keep that in mind. If you don't have any photos, you may not have the view the MLS listing information button, but when you have photos, you can scroll through those. You can expand those. Oh gosh, that sky is beautiful there. You can also then use the map. I can expand the map so I can see how much waterfront I've got or access to the beach. I can also see whether or not my property dimensions or my lot dimensions are bigger than the neighbors or less than, or there's some sort of selling point I need to identify using that map. I can upload a custom image. And in just a minute, we'll view this larger map. But before we do, let's talk about the rest of this property report. Don't forget, the icons allow you to hover over top and click to view the listing icons and to view the listing data available from Flex. So it'll open up that record. I can review location data as well as property summaries, even view property record cards, as well as county property reports. These will vary by county. So you can't expect the same links from county to county. It's a large coverage area, and not all counties create their tax assessor and clerk's records the same. So in some areas we can link to, and in some areas we can link to and allow you to search. And in some areas there's not anything to link to. So these will vary. We've added school information. And here are those down arrows that I talked about previously, where you can minimize the information you're displaying. Notice the current owner is collapsed. That's because in the beginning, I did my property report modifications from profiles and settings, and I took the check out of the box for current owner. That's me telling CRS that I only want to see the current owner name if I ask for it. But by default, every property report I open should collapse that current owner name. And if I want it, I can tap to display it. It'll provide me sales history, hover over top of links to see if you have access to deeds or to display the coordinating documents, tax assessment along with taxes, mortgage history and additional mortgage and trust details. Don't be afraid to click on those blue bars of extra data. Don't be afraid to minimize. If we don't want to see the taxes back to 2014 and see the gentle rise in the amount of total taxes due, and we just want to show current year, minimize that. Just show what you want to show. This is not the CRS show. This is about you putting your seal on what you'd like to display for your client. Foreclosure history, if this property had any foreclosure history, it would be displayed here, but I can minimize this or hide it. Knowing that it's grayed out means that when I print this report, I won't see even any footprints or breadcrumbs leading me to believe that there's any foreclosure information here, because it will take out that very light gray area that says foreclosure history, and it won't even make you believe that there's anything there. So it hides it the way a column would be hidden on an Excel spreadsheet. Best way to explain it. Property characteristics. This gives you the type, the bedrooms, and the total square footage along with the BAS. Blue bars of data mean that you can edit these. And I say that, but I want to pause when I say you're not editing it for the MLS. You're not editing it so it makes it back to the clerk or the assessor so someone gets a higher tax bill. You're editing it because you went out to the property and you realized that there aren't 3 bedrooms now, there's 4, because they converted that sunroom into a bedroom. You're going to modify this based on your own records, and it's only going to be you that sees it unless you give this to somebody else. Make the change, enter or tab, and then type in the note that reminds you why you changed that. Knowing that there's going to be an asterisk that tells you that the building characteristics have been edited, and identify what's been edited, and then you make the note of why. Hover over top to revert back to the original value. It does not go out to any other members at the Jacksonville board. It doesn't go out to any other members of North Carolina Regional or anyone else for that matter. It's just for your records. Keep that in mind. Property characteristics, lot, utilities, and area, along with extra features. Let's not forget legal description, FEMA flood zones, and listing archive. Let's look at FEMA and listing archive. So FEMA flood zones, especially for your area, with the modifications, revisions, and revalidations that happen with FEMA, we're going to give you a 1 line of risk. So we're going to give you that zone code, the flood risk, the BFE, along with the description. The firm panel ID is a link so that you can review those potential modifications, revisions, and revalidations so that you know exactly what's going on, and this will take you directly to that parcel. Listing archive, this is a way you can quickly review the times this property has been on the market, links back to the MLS, so that you can go in and see that coordinating MLS record. All right. This is something I don't necessarily think a client needs to see. You may find that different because we all have the ability to remove or hide any section. This would be a section I think by default I would ask to be hidden. And then I would view it for my own purpose if I was playing the real estate professional, and not necessarily print it for my client. But again, that's for you to decide. The toolbar floated from the top to the bottom, giving me the same access to the MLS listing information as well as email, save to PDF, and print. Now, as we scroll back up to the top of the map, I'm going to tap on this View Larger Map. When you jump on to a View Larger Map, I want you to be comfortable with what you can do from here. It's going to seem like we go through these last couple of tabs fairly quickly because it really is all about jumping in here and using these today, and tomorrow doing your normal business is going to be the best way. And then we'll follow up with a more advanced class. You can pan in and pan out down the left-hand panel. You're able to change your views from road to aerial and even street side. Remove the dimensions and shading on your subject property if you'd rather not see that. Even draw polygons, rectangles, radiuses, and freehands. Why would you do that? If I want to see an area and I want to know everything about the properties that are on this island drive and in this area, I could connect my polygon and say, tell me about these properties in this just over 5 acres, and include this selection. My system's going to go out and pull the search results for those 18 properties, and then let me go to the search results, which you know what they look like, or go directly to prospecting to send them a letter to tell them that I just listed and sold a property on Old Village Lane, and they may want to call me because if they're trying to sell theirs just 1 block over, I'm the person to call. However you want to do business here. All right. If I happen to draw that shape and decide I don't want it, I can hover and tap delete. I can even do what we talked about earlier and measure my parcel as compared to the neighboring parcel by tapping on my measurement tool and identifying that I'd like to measure a parcel, and tap on the parcel I'd like to measure, zoom in a bit, and now I have measured the parcel that I tapped on. All right, so I can measure individual parcels, and it's going to show me the acreage in the center. Anything I turn on with this map, I can print, email, save, and copy. I can measure a walking distance from a school or a point of interest or a park. I can measure an area if someone needs to know how much grass they have to mow. As ridiculous as that sounds, sometimes that's a valuable question. And that's what we do in real estate. And I say we, I'm just playing the real estate professional here. That I'm gonna leave that up to you. But if you're asked, you're going to perform and give your client what they're asking for. It's important to them, so it's important to you to be able to do it quickly and easily and still have your boots on the ground because you're running 100 different directions. Let me help you do more with less time, in effect, using the map. Now, as I tap over onto the left-hand panel, there are 2 very small arrows that point to the center. This is where you're going to tap to expose yourself to additional CRS map layers. These map layers start with simple things like turning on recent sales in the last 60 months, and the map will start to shade. Let's not forget, I can add school information if I want to. I can even add additional labels like deeded acreage, system calculated acreage, property address, and owner names. Just because these are grayed out doesn't mean I can't do them. I need to tap to pan in just a bit. And as I do, my map will expose and offer the abilities to go in and add these additional filters. So see how quickly everything grayed out for me. So if I go closer to the map, I'll notice that my layers come alive. So now I can turn on deeded acreage. What else can we do from here? add listing data for sale and sold. And as those icons start to display across the map, my legend starts to point me in the right direction so I know what I'm looking at. Whether they're sold, for sale, expired, or pending, I have the coordinating records across the bottom of the screen. Let's not forget, for good measure, to add a bit of the FEMA flood zone, knowing that I'm right here on the water, that it's going to cover everything up, but knowing that the risk, the area is on the map in those sections that we expect to see. So that's just the beginning here. And like I said, we've got just a few more minutes to go, but I really want to encourage you to jump on this map and start turning these things on and off. Notice how many things you can expose yourself to from this side of the map by turning on and off these filters, turning on and off the legend and the icons. I mean, you have access to answer your clients' questions about what school zone it is or what properties dimensions are or what the acreage is. Left clicking on individual parcels will also give you information right down to the subject property, as well as the coordinating properties around the area and even links to the MLS. So tap around, open your eyes to using the map and understanding how many different features and fields and areas you have available to you from here. Now, as I go back to the property report, let's go through and look at comparables and prospecting to finish up for today. From this property, if in fact I want to do a CMA, I'm going to tap on comparables, and I do know enough about what you folks do on a daily basis to understand that it's quite possible, or more likely than not, that you're not going to do an auto comp on this home. You're probably going to do a custom comparable on this home. I'm going to show you a standard, and then you're going to be able to tap on custom and see the additional filters available to you. So I'm going to show you the simple side, and you're going to take it for a ride and look at what custom is, and then we'll offer that in the advanced class as well. So tap on comparables. CRS brings you back data that gives you an average cost per square foot based on the number of comps we found in the area, bringing you back the estimated market price based on the average cost per square foot, the combined average price per square foot and average price per acre, as well as the average sales price divided by the tax appraisal ratio. We've got the ability to do those home improvement adjustments we talked about. These are generated by Metro Study, which is a Handley Wood company, utilizing the cost versus value approach so that you can add an improvement. Tell us what your client says they spent on that deck addition. Let's say we spent $12,500 and it's a high-end deck, or maybe just mid. Maybe $12,500 for a house that size is not high-end, it's just average. Submit that value, and it tells me in this area, based on that amount spent, that I can expect to get about a 69% return on my investment. And now I have a home improvement value to look at. I have my photos along with the subject property, along with the comparable properties that were pulled for me, the ability to hover or stall over each property to tap to view the MLS record and see additional information. I know if I'm going to buy or sell a house in this area, I'm going to call you, because a CRS's CMA is just data until you get your hands on it and you apply your knowledge about the area, the market, and all the history of the area is applied when doing a CMA. So you're going to jump in here and you're going to mold this. You're going to look at your subject property and the comparables. You're going to utilize these search parameters to determine whether or not you need to add additional property types or improvement types. This is giving you plus or minus one bedroom and plus or minus one bath, along with 20% variables in acreage and square footage, distance just under a mile, and then sales in the last 12 months. You can change any or all of these. I'm going to go out a bit further that's what you do. You tap to display whether or not you need to go out further, to display more properties to work with. You're going to make that decision. The comparable properties come back for me in a graph that I can drag and drop the results or change what my view is by going to my profiles and settings and modify my results for my comparables. So I can go in there and customize my results when doing a CMA. Big thing to note here. We're pulling in the icons with links back to the MLS. And then we've got properties that don't have any link. They don't have any sales tag, although we know they sold. I'm only pulling properties that sold in the area in the last 12 months. They just happen to not have a tag. These are properties that sold outside your MLS, neighboring MLS, for sale by owner, interfamily transfer, marriage, divorce, all of these things that make for transfers of ownership that don't necessarily involve the MLS, potentially don't involve an agent at all. So keep that in mind and know that these are unique. Now, if you want to go in and remove or keep certain properties, you have the ability to do that by checking to remove them or checking to keep them. So if I want to remove the ones I checked, it's going to remove those and modify my prices, modify my breakdowns, and I can go on from there. When I'm done, I can restore removed comparables to start over, or I can continue to modify those results until I've got my CMA that I want to present. I can still view it in the MLS if I want to look at more data. I can tap on the address to go ahead and look at the property and more specifics. Again, don't forget, you're going to decide what you're viewing here by going over to profiles and settings and tell us what you want to see and in what order you want to see it. There's a lot of data there, folks, not enough width on the page to show everything we've got to choose. So go out and modify your results. All right. Now, we went through that simple CMA. We've gone through the property report and we've looked at facts and figures and maps. As we finish up today, I'm going to tap on prospecting, because if I sell this house 1 week after it goes on the market, 1% under asking price, I may just want to do a bit of prospecting. Tapping on prospecting, allowing that to present for you. My subject property is indicated by the property indicator teardrop in the center of the page. Now I can go on from here. I can add additional counties to prospect in and around. I can tap to tell the system to look for the letters LAKE, whether it be owner names that start with lake or contain the word lake, or choose specific owners. Maybe I want to choose some specific addresses. Maybe even look for properties that are in subdivisions that start with the word lake. As I start to add those parameters, the map starts to come alive. I can hover and see additional data details. I can add additional details here. I can keep adding until I'm ready to stop. Whether or not I want to add specific street addresses, the map's just going to continue to provide data. Notice that my properties found change based on what I add. I've got 234 properties. What else can I add here? Take a tour through the filters. Know that you can add boundaries like zip codes and school zones. MLS listing statuses mean that you have access to the listings and you can navigate through whether or not you want to see all properties that are for sale, or you want to update it from there. It's up to you. What other type of filters? Owner types, whether or not it's absentee owner or owner occupied, in or out of state. Ownership durations, kind of a neat directive to take. How long has one been in the house, and how likely is it that they're ready to sell and ready to build or move into a larger home? Or maybe it's properties that the mortgage age is more than 20 years and it might be time to scale down. No more children at home and want less to maintain, or opposite of that, need more space because there's more little feet. Either way, you're going to take the approach of what are you doing your prospecting around. Appraised value and property types, because folks, you get commercial, you get residential. So I would want to modify this to say I'm looking for just residential if that's in fact what I'm looking for. And now I'm down to 158 properties because clearly I had some exempt, or I had some vacant land. I can insert those recent sales. Again, I can scroll down and add last sales date and price, flood zones, cash buyers and land use, improvement types, even the modification of total building square footage or acreage. Maybe I'm only looking for vacant land, or it's really specific right down to the year built. You decide. Let's not avoid talking about this map, because there are some of you that are going to approach this the same way you did your searching. You don't want to do a simple search. You want to do a search using a map, or you want to do a more advanced search. Notice that you're going to have that ability here too. By drawing polygons or rectangles, circles, or freehand, you can identify the area you want to focus on. If that's an easier way to do this, draw and then modify using the panel down the left. Change your view because you'd rather see road versus aerial or aerial versus road, knowing that you have to pan in to see additional data details and see these areas more clearly. And then when you're ready, when you've got the properties found you want, and you've reviewed the legend to remove those properties that you don't want to include, remove them a page at a time or a property at a time by tapping and inserting a check in the box to remove individual properties, or again, one page at a time if you'd like. We're going to always tell you how many exports you have remaining, and then you decide if you want to export the data, even edit the fields that you're exporting by selecting the columns, going through and choosing what you'd like to export, knowing that this is going to be exported in a CSV file so that you can use it for those CRM products, or whether you want to use it in an Excel spreadsheet and modify it from there. Now, if you've decided you just are all about creating those labels, tap to create those labels. Refine your records. I've made a few selections for you. Please feel free to remove those if you don't want to remove exact duplicates. If you want to choose how the address is displayed or which address is used, whether it's owner's address or property address, whether or not you include a line for current resident, or whether you want to insert custom text, then it's all about what Avery label type are you using. And then what label do you want to start printing on? Most of us know when you try to line up a set of labels, you're always printing on the back side, the wrong side, the bottom of nothing. And that just happens by default. So now start looking at your sheet, determining you have 2 labels left at the bottom of one page and we don't want to be wasteful. Choose a PDF or a Word document and then tap to create the labels. Know that very quickly those labels are going to display, so you can review those, modify or review or remove any properties you want to remove at this point, and then send them off to the printer. All right, go ahead and send them off to print those out. Pretty much a lot of information. I hope, in fact, you folks see that we've introduced you to some things inside of CRS data that you didn't know were there. I am going to let Heather, if she's got any questions out there, let me know if I can cover anything else this morning.
We do have a few questions.
Perfect.
One question being about the reports. I think it was when it was posted. If you minimize and then go to print, it doesn't print the information that you've hidden.
That is correct.
Okay.
So just when you hide a column on an Excel spreadsheet, it minimizes it so whoever you print the document for, they won't know that anything's missing. Correct.
Okay. And then the other question was, can you search which properties are owner occupied?
You can, you absolutely can. So under property type inside of prospecting, from here you can search owner occupied by using the filter. So owner type, whether or not you do owner occupied or absentee in state or out of state, or from a property search, going back and doing an advanced search also gives you the ability to go in and do the same thing. As I scroll down, we've got owner profile inside of our advanced search that allows you to search by just properties that are owner occupied as well.
I think those were the only questions we had posted in the chat. So unless anybody else has any questions, if you want to unmute and ask, or you can place them in the chat.
All right, well, I will stick around a few minutes. It looks like there are some chats coming in, unless those are personal back to the board. I don't know, Heather, it looked like there are a couple more came in.
How many exports do they have?
You get 5,000 exports per member per month. Again, if you find yourself in a unique situation and think that you A, need more, or B, have used your 5,000 accidentally as you've started to learn the system, please give Heather a call and I will give Heather the instructions on how to communicate the need moving forward for additional exports or to refresh based on just that oopsie moment.
All right, we're getting lots of kudos. Thank you, Nicole, for taking care of this for us. And we will be in touch for an advanced class as well.
Perfect. I'd love to do it. And thank you very much. And 3 lucky winners should look for something in their inbox from me later this afternoon. So thank you very much for attending.
Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day.